Good morning. Oh my gosh, Gladiator Guru, you look so great today. Oh, there we go. I was going to say, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. I am the badass Beetle, Lori Monaco. It is a beautiful day today. It is going to turn out to be absolutely lovely. Very excited. It was so beautiful yesterday, very warm here. And yeah, it's just very spring. We've sprung into spring. But that time change, we'll have to talk about that time change afterwards. So welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. And you are my fabulous
Good morning, mi gente, aquí con la Margarita, your gladiator guru. It is one of those, oh my God, I hit the snooze too many times type of day to jump in the shower, wet the hair that I had done already. But here we are because it's a beautiful morning and we are just gonna rise up shining. So let's do that. I don't know what the weather's like today. I haven't checked.
And good morning to Tiffany. We missed you, girl. We're glad you're here. Good morning, Kathy. Kathy, we probably need to, we don't look at our analytics really at all, like hardly ever. And we need to probably keep track of like giving kudos to people who come on, so frequently and so consistently. I know, Tiffany, you've been busy, but Tiffany back like, a couple of years ago was like all the time, right? She was on like it was
she was like a top fan.
Yeah. Right. And I know Kathy's up there now because Kathy's always on and she's always sharing and we really appreciate it. And good morning, Desiree, and she's back, so that's great. And I want to recognize Kathy too. I'm slowly getting myself back on social media. I've been really off of it, and I have a love-hate relationship with it, but I do find great joy in everyone else's joys. So I think that's the part that I have missed and that I'm bummed because I haven't kept up with, celebrating birthdays, celebrating people's wins. But I did notice a post with Kathy, and pretty much every post that Kathy puts is she's very joyful. She's smiling away. And then I think about Tiffany and how Tiffany, she lost all that weight and she's doing so great. And the beauty is that it's so nice to see people stepping into themselves, like knowing that they've been through challenges. I mean, we know Kathy for a while went off of social media because she was just having such a really bad time in her personal life with toxic stuff. And it's like, but you know what? She just moved past it, nothing changed probably. And that's the thing. Sometimes nothing really around us changes, the environment, the people, but we're the ones that have to change. We're the ones that have to step beyond that. And then when you see people step beyond it, it's so evident because they look lighter, they look happier, they just look, again, more joyful. Good morning to Bernie. Hey, Bernie's in the house. And good morning to Gail and Madeline. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. What are your thoughts, Gladiator Guru, on that?
Well, Gail, you're having radiation this morning, 4 more, and this is done. I bow to you. I bow just to anyone going through that and still showing up for you and for me and for those in need. So thank you. It just goes with what the badass Buddha was just saying.
Absolutely.
I think it is. I think when we show up for ourselves, what's that song? Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way. And I think when you start, listen to music. Let it amp you. Let it be that cheerleader for you. And I think when we wake up, and it's not, if it hasn't happened, it's happened in spurts, but you're going to wake up one morning and you're going to say, fuck this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy that plant. I'm going to plant those flowers. I'm going to do a little vegetable garden. Whatever it is you want to do, I'm going to start walking. Every day I'm going to walk. I'm going to start walking with 15 minutes, and then you do it. The next week you raise it up to 30, and then you do what you know you can do, not what people say you shouldn't do. And I think when you see the end result, like Tiffany Bryant, you look phenomenal. So every time I see your
Yes,
pictures, I'm like, you know, and you barely post it yourself. So it's not like I can compare it anywhere, but just your smile
I know.
says it all.
Yes.
You know, your smile is so happy. Like it blends in with everything else, but the smile, when you just see the smile alone, it reeks happiness. So I love it. And that's what we need to do for ourselves. We need to come back home to ourselves. We need to be gentle with ourselves. And then we need to light firecrackers up our ass and get the things done that we know we should be doing because we want it. We dreamed of it. And then cast out the fear and let's go. Let's make it happen. Good morning,
Good
Leanne. Where
morning,
are
Liz.
you?
Leanne is in Spain. Yeah, tell us exactly where
¿Dónde?
you
¿A
are this
dónde?
morning. Let's see. Good morning to Chenille. Good morning to Michelle. Michelle's back again. So, see, the beauty too is that sometimes with people's illnesses that they have to stay out of work, we get to have them on in the morning too. So we'll take that as well. I mean, we love the live. We love the live interaction. But if you can't make it in the morning, then make sure that you listen to us at a later time. Maybe on your drive home from work, just make sure you listen to us because we love having everybody on and being a part of this. And even if you comment afterwards, you're still in there. You're still in that feed because the comments are really important from the tribe because you have so much to say. So she's in Barcelona, she said.
Ah, that's where you flew into? I knew
Yeah.
it because
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yes, it is. Okay, did I get everybody? I don't think I got Chanel.
Barcelona, donde hablan el castellano es secundario. I love it. Send me pictures of the cathedral I never want to go see.
Okay. All right. So let's set our intention. Let's do our mantra and let's get going on this conversation of becoming, the month of becoming. So here we go. Set your intention. Set your intention. My intention is to click on the banner that says like, share, follow, subscribe, and have all of you like, share, follow, subscribe. So if you haven't already liked our stuff, if you haven't already shared it, if you haven't already followed us, especially on YouTube, we would appreciate that and subscribe. So let's see. Set our intention. Set your intention for whatever it is today. Have a purpose for your day. It could be one intention. It could be multiple intentions. You could change your intention throughout the day, but go out there with purpose.
Mm-hmm. Always do it on purpose. If you're going to make whatever you're doing, do it on purpose. It's the only way to do anything.
Well, sometimes things can happen not on purpose and they're fantastic, but there was a purpose to lead to that. That's the thing you have to remember. So, but what about purpose? What else do we go with an
But
intention?
that's what I'm saying. If you're gonna go, if shit happens and you're like, oh, surprise, Merry Christmas, then you're gonna welcome it. But if you're gonna, the minute you set out to do something, do it on purpose, coño, or stay home. Because then if you're not gonna go out there filled with just that, I'm gonna do this, and then you're gonna be getting in other people's ways, and there's a lot of those already out there. So,
Yes.
and do it in gratitude.
Yes, ma'am.
Be
Yes,
grateful.
ma'am. Yep.
Someone pulled into your spot. Why are you gonna curse and beep your horn? I hate people like that. Why? Just say, I'm gonna find a better parking and go around the parking lot. And it doesn't happen 100% of the time, but I'll take that 80% that it happens. Why get all upset over things you cannot control? That is the becoming of you, like in your space, in your flow. Where people are gonna poke you, but it's up to you to let them pop it. To do it
And
with gratitude, whatever it is you're doing.
and gratitude's so easy. I do a networking group here and they end their meeting with gratitude, which is so unbelievable and so cool for a business group to end with gratitude. And what's interesting is I was at one of the meetings and it was hard. Sometimes it's hard not to judge, like discernment is where we always want to be, but sometimes that little part of our brain that really wants to go to that place and judge comes in. And everybody's going around the table, and there's always something to be grateful for. I mean, sometimes some of the people are saying, I'm very grateful for this group. I really enjoy spending the time with you, whatever. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my life, my health. We get to this one woman and she's like, yeah, I've got nothing. And she's like, Skip. I'm like, and I felt, I sat there for a minute and I was just like, God, that's kind of sad. That's really kind of sad that you're not grateful for anything, but it is what it is. And it wasn't that she was shy, because she had spoken already. She talked about her business. She knew the group. She was chit-chatting, bantering. And for that to just pass. And I saw it in her face too, like her face kind of aligned with that, to say, like, she just wasn't in a good place, And I've been there, I've been there before. But even when you're in that place, bringing out the gratitude shifts you, and that's why it's important. Good morning, Gwen. Gwen is in the house.
I don't know. Sometimes, good morning. Sometimes with people like that, you just, you think it, but you just want to say, you want to hug? Are you okay? Or you just bypass them, because sometimes when we're talking reality, we're talking about spirituality. And in spirituality, you got the spirits and the negative energies that wants, if that lady starts off with, well, there's nothing, well, then it'll set the tone for everyone else to be like, oh, I can't believe she said that. And then you start, like when you drop that black dye in water, and then you just put it in one spot, but it starts to spread. And that's how negativity does. So you got to have the attitude for gratitude.
Attitude for gratitude.
And if you don't, then listen. Because and then the thing is, if you're saying this group is good and it's positive, and she sat through it and didn't absorb anything that anybody was saying, then she's in a much darker place than anyone could have assumed by just that one comment.
It is. And in fact,
not the compliment here.
In fact, when she passed, there was a bit of a pause. Like, I think the whole entire group, I felt it from the whole entire group. And I looked around and everybody was kind of like, they didn't know what to do with that, because I don't think anybody really ever passes it, And so I think even the group itself was kind of taken back that there couldn't be one thing, So yeah, I agree. And as I've gotten to know this woman a little bit, and the business mostly, I'm seeing that it all makes sense, And again, I'm trying to come from a place of discernment where I'm just stepping back and observing it. But yeah, it to me, it started to make sense after a few days, when I started to get to know her a little bit more, and her business. But anyway,
and people are not going to wake up happy every day. That's a choice. Remember that. People think that happy means you're supposed to be like, oh, hi. No, happy means you're okay with where you are on any particular day. And no matter what comes your way, you're going to see the light. You're going to say, you know what? I cannot be ungrateful to assume that every day is supposed to go my way. Look at that. I rhymed and I wasn't even meaning to. That is happiness. That is you knowing who you are and knowing the reality. You're walking in your truth. Every day isn't going to be sunshine. I'm going to have my hair done. I'm going to get caught up in torrential rains, and I'm going to get like angry. I'm going to get upset. I might cry because I just did my hair and I have somewhere to go to. Totally fine. Doesn't mean you're unhappy. Doesn't mean you're ungrateful.
Right.
It's you going through every day of your life, knowing in the back of your mind that every day is not going to go your way, but you're still showing up because you are confident in what you're bringing to anyone's table, and that if it doesn't go your way, then it wasn't meant for you. And if we believe in that spiritual thing, that I'm working hard for this and it didn't go my way, then I can't believe they didn't see this, they didn't see that. It's because guess what? It wasn't meant for you. And all that work you did and you shared wasn't for you. It was your contribution to whoever was there. Now you move your ass, because now you go to yours. And that's what love is, and that's what life is, and that's what happiness is. And when you're grateful, and when you become aware, and the becoming of your growth, when you're evolving every day, you have to understand that everything is not for you. Just because you put in a couple hours for that project doesn't mean you own it. It means you're participating in this big game called life, and you're going to lose, and you're going to have some wins, but you're always going to do what you're supposed to do. And that is, when we become selfish, well, I put so many hours into it. It was my idea. It was this. And sometimes it's like the badass Buddha, and I have many conversations, how I'll come up with something and then I sit on it because that's my downfall. And then someone else will pick up. It could be somebody that heard me saying what I was going to do, or they're repeating how I am, my character, my soul. And then when I'm not around, they're pretending. And I used to get very upset with that. But then I'm saddened that they haven't found themselves yet, that they're pretending to be something and someone they're not. So when you look at that, I can't get upset, because sometimes when someone has a goal and they're trying to become who they are, but they have no idea, you have to, okay, let me try this. Okay, this is working for Margie. Let me try that. Oh, this is working for Badass. Let me try that. And it's not that they're copying unless they do everything you've done or said you were going to do, and then they don't talk to you no more. That's a whole other subject we might get into. That's the day we don't share discernment. But sometimes, let me tell you, sometimes we are the messenger. And to evolve, you have to know that you're going to take some losses. And to evolve, you have to understand that everything you're working on, you wasn't working it for you. You're that baker who created these beautiful cakes only to send them away to somebody to eat it after all the hours you put into it. Even the money you charge for it isn't all the effort and energy you put into it. And when you realize that you're just this one pawn in this huge chess game, reaching your kingdom, then you're going to understand that without you and without them, things couldn't move, right? So you're just a piece of that puzzle, and every project you're working on is not for you.
Hi,
So when you
Gail.
go around that table and you're saying, what are you grateful for? That lady probably had nothing. Because the day before, that morning, she probably gave the best of her and sent it off. We don't know. And you saying that you're using discernment, that was beautiful to start off that story, badass. Because we don't know what happened. Yesterday,
Right.
you know what? My sister and I went out to eat. It was my mother's 3 years of her heaven birth date. And
Hmm.
you know what? And then I ended it saying, you know what? I'm glad that we went and had lunch. I said, but we can't be sad. Everybody has a journey to go on. And we spent her last days together. And that, I think that's what counts. And and it just hits me in March because it's my husband on the 10th, and then it's my mother on the 13th, and it just happens. But you know what? This month I was like, until we meet again.
Hmm.
And it's okay, but not everybody connects with that. So what you just said is beautiful. We gotta treat discernment. We gotta teach discernment. We gotta live discernment. Cause boy, if anybody knew me back then, I'd be like, motherfucker, then you can't be a part of this group if you're gonna be having that negativity, you know? But
I want
okay,
to. I
people will
want
tell
to.
the story.
I want to mention what Tiffany wrote. Tiffany says, "You both know a lot about me and my journey. I'm dealing with challenges of being a caregiver, and now mom has been diagnosed with stage 1 cancer. So, you have our prayers." And I see that Gail reached out to you to tell you to reach out to her because of what her journey's been like. So that's the beauty of this tribe, is to get that extra support. I'm grateful to this tribe for encouraging me over the past few years. I have to believe in myself and have the courage to continue to move forward. And and that also needs to be said with the fact that in addition to Tiffany working on herself, she's also a caregiver. And being a caregiver, if anybody's ever done it, knows that you always put yourself last. You always put the person first, and that's where a lot of people do tend to get ill, or and for you to be doing what you're doing while you're the caregiver, is extraordinary. And you have to stop and give yourself credit for that. Pat yourself on that back and sit with yourself sometimes and say, I really am a badass. Like I really am awesome that I am creating my life the way I'm creating it. And then still having, my environment hasn't changed, but I've changed. Right. And that's, for me, I changed to a certain level, but then I still had to get out of my environment because I wasn't moving forward, and changing my environment made a big difference. But yes, you were able to change to a certain level, and, bless you, because you're doing awesome. And we're very, very proud of you, Tiffany. It's really cool. And we're happy that you're a part of this tribe, and we're happy that the tribe is all here for you. So that's how we roll.
And that's right. And being a long time caregiver, the challenges, they're like quadruple. So I am so proud of you. I'm proud of anybody who knows it's hard, it's difficult. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this today. I'm happy. And you're still working on you. It took me 4 years into my caregiving to realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm here. So that's something to celebrate about yourself.
Let's do the mantra, and then let's get to, we already started the conversation, which is great. So let's do the mantra. So say it loud and say it proud. I am a disruptor.
I am a disruptor.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am magically orgasmic.
Ole.
And I keep it real.
All day, no doubt.
I like how you did the pose. Very 80s. Very. All right. So today's conversation is butterfly or dung beetle. So we had a very interesting conversation on Tuesday regarding whether you're a caterpillar or a slug. And there were some people that were really hell-bent on giving the slug that credit and having slug time. And that's fine. We're not saying that they're bad. Like one is the great and one is the bad, and you should be the great and not the bad. What we're saying is that they're different. One is much greater at really expanding and transforming and experiencing, and one tends to stay in their own little world. And the same thing is here. So what we're talking about is transforming from that caterpillar to the butterfly. The butterfly spreads its wings, flies everywhere. It could fly miles and miles, hopping from flower to flower, and its beauty, people are just in awe. When they see a butterfly, people stop. Oh, look at the pretty butterfly. And then we went from a slug, okay, and slugs get little credit, but they serve a purpose. Absolutely. They're the ones that kind of hide under the rocks and do their thing. And then now we're going on to a dung beetle. And a dung beetle really was chosen to be more tongue in cheek, because it's like dung. All right. But dung beetles serve a really big purpose. Their purpose is to recycle dung and use it for themselves. And they package it up so very nicely. Good morning, Mama. Good morning.
Besito. Sorry, she just wants to make her appearance before she leaves.
Oh yeah, this is a regular now, and you can tell she's setting her watch to it now. Definitely enjoying it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so good morning, Priscilla. I see Priscilla's in the house. So the dung beetle serves a purpose. However, when you look at the two, right, the dung beetle, people get disgusted by the dung beetle. They're like, oh, gross, it's a dung beetle. It's constantly in poop. It eats poop. It deals with poop. But sometimes you have to be the dung beetle. You are the dung beetle in your life, right? The question is, do you stay the dung beetle and just go about your business, doing your thing, dealing with a lot of crap? Or do you transform yourself and become that butterfly that sees the world from a different view, can get really high up and look down and check out the big scene, or land down on a beautiful flower and become one and connected with that flower? and gently, go in and take what it needs from that flower, having a beautiful relationship with the flower, then move on to another one, showing beauty as it goes to the world around it. Because people will go, oh my gosh, look at that butterfly, which also leads them to look at the flowers that they may not have even noticed that were right in front of them. And so the question is, what would you like to be? Do you need some days to have those dung beetle moments? But how long are you staying in those dung beetle moments? What would it be like for you to become the butterfly? What do you think, Gladiator Guru?
I think we need all the phases, just like how the butterfly became the butterfly, how it started, what it had to go through and endure to become the butterfly. I think that if you choose to be a butterfly every day, or if you choose to be the dung beetle, you're cheating yourself. So I think evolving means that you're gonna have, nothing's linear. Everything is up and down, sideways. It curves. I think I like to be a little bit of all, because in my downtime is when I can really check off what I need to do. In my uptime, I'm celebrating that I'm here, that I'm doing what I set out to do. And then, you never stay up here. You never stay that beautiful butterfly. Life isn't about that. Then that means that's where you cap off what you are. So you gotta slum it sometimes in order to be reminded that you should be grateful of what you have and work harder, to strive harder, to share the wealth. And that's what I think. But that's why there's really, everything was made with a purpose. Everything.
Coming
So
coming from a place where I have been the dung beetle for too many years in my life. It's very easy to get caught up in that. It's very easy to fall into a pit. It's very easy to fall into a pit of crap. It's very easy to get stuck in that and then make every excuse in the book of, oh, you got to feel sorry for me. Like if you literally picture yourself falling into a big pile of poo and you're trying to get out and you can't, and people are on the outside going and they don't want to help you, they don't want to touch you because you're in crap. But you want to play that victim. Oh my God, this is disgusting. Oh my God, I'm stuck in here, I can't get out. But the bottom line is nobody is going to get you out of that. Even if somebody helped you get out, you still have to wash that poo off of you. See, I rhymed too. See that? Not even on purpose. So you have to get into the shower. You have to clean yourself off. You have to wash your clothes. There might be somebody that can assist you, but nobody's going to walk into the shower unless you are incapable of taking care of yourself. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about all of us here that are capable, that have made excuses and said, oh, well, poor me. You got to feel bad. I fell in a big pile of poo yesterday and I still can't get the smell off. Well, then scrub harder. Take a shower 2, 3 times a day. Use a different soap. It's instead of sitting there in it, it's like the same idea of saying, well, if your dog decides to poo in the house and you just cover it with a paper towel and then just spray in the house to cover the smell up, it doesn't solve the problem. The poo has to be picked up and the floor has to be clean, or else you're going to keep smelling the poo, and spraying the spray fragrance on there is only going to cover it for a certain period of time, and then you're going to smell the poo again. So that's what we're trying to get at, is there are moments where we are not wanting to play, big. There's moments where we have that downtime. And it's okay. Let's reference Tuesday's show. It's okay to be the slug. All right. It's okay to be the dung beetle, where the dung beetle has its purpose. It's just doing its thing. But what we're saying is we want you to step up, take more time to say, I am going to fly. I am going to spread my wings. I am going to see the world from a different perspective. I'm going to come down here, then go up here, then land over here. And butterflies rest. They have moments of rest. They sit somewhere and they actually sit with their wings straight up and they rest. And you can do that. And they still look beautiful even when they're resting. but they have that quiet time, especially at night. You don't really see a butterfly at night. They go off somewhere and they rest. And then the next morning they're up and about fluttering away. And when you see that butterfly, take that moment as a message reminding you it is time for me to spread my wings and fly and look at things from a different perspective.
Yes, yes, and you're so right. Every time, see, the monarch is very. I love the blue butterfly,
Yeah,
but
me too.
the monarch. 15 minutes after my dad died, almost 17 years ago, we walked downstairs from St. Vincent's, and the whole family, and a monarch came and landed on Janet's shoulder, on my sister's shoulder, and she got like freaked out, and then it fluttered and it came through the people and it came back and landed on her knee. And then through the whole process of that services and everything, the monarch was very prominent. It was very in your face. So every time we see the monarch, it's like a significant, like to some people, how the cardinal is. Um, and so, and then the white butterfly. And let me tell you, my first time in walking the Camino, the first 2 weeks, I thought I was gonna die literally. So I'm like huffing and puffing, and I said I can't. So I would always say, um, Father God, please help me, because I couldn't. And one day there was a butterfly, and it stopped in front of me, and I was like, oh, look at the butterfly. When I tell you cylinder blocks on my legs, that's how I felt. Then a blue one came smaller, and then the white one, and I was like, oh, and they stood there fluttering, but there. So I was like, I looked at it, I said, oh. So I took a step and they moved up. So before you know it was like a couple days, they would pop up every time I said that, Father God, please help me. When I reached the top, they disappeared. So one day I'm walking, I'm like, I haven't seen the butterflies. And I was like, oh, I haven't asked for help. I've been climbing okay.
Oh, I
So
love that
that's
story.
why the book that, which is another thing, these, let me tell you, mi gente, the tribe is beautiful. We come up with these titles because it's just, it's, you feel it in the tapestries, like what needs to be spoken about, even for us. And all these titles have also, in the talking and the butterflies, it awakens things that have been laid dormant inside of you because you're working outside of you, right? Or you're trying to achieve these goals that you set for yourself, but then we tend to forget that little thing inside. And the book that I have put aside, that I'm almost done with, it's called We Follow the Butterflies. We being me and my personalities, because that trip was very, very challenging in every aspect. But those butterflies got me to the top, and then they disappeared. Like, where'd they go that quick? But I didn't notice it until days later. So that's what you don't beat yourself up when you don't notice a change, when you don't notice an accomplishment right then and there. That's everything, your body, everything absorbing it, so that when your mind really says, oh shit, it's accepting it, you're open up to it because it's already been in there. So that's when you're learning about yourself and you're learning things outside of yourself, they all conspire, like Paulo Coelho says, for you, around you, but it's for you. So pay attention to your life. Butterflies are, they're so significant spiritually, and just beautiful for the eyes. And then when you take it in, you realize, oh, is that my beauty reflected in that butterfly? Think of it like that, because why, not all of us gets to see butterflies every day or all the time. Am I correct? I mean,
Yes.
we know they're out there. You see them occasionally, but you don't see them all the time. So when you do see it, take it as a sign. It's a reflection of you. It's a reminder. Get your ass up and get shit done. You got this. That's how I look at it.
Yep. Yep. Um, I lost of words for a second. I love that. Desiree wrote that my mom sends butterflies. She believes, and because her mother loved butterflies so much.
Mm-hmm.
And again, sometimes it's just that idea putting into our head of saying, okay, if you see a butterfly today, it's a sign. It's telling you something. But I love that story that you told. I mean, that was just absolutely fantastic. And it has to do with us also just paying attention, is being reminded of our potential, having a moment where we feel like we need that reminder sometimes, but sometimes we don't pay attention to the reminder. So when you see that butterfly, and maybe it won't be, depending on where you live, maybe there's no butterflies out this time of the year, but maybe you'll be watching something and there'll be a butterfly in the thing that you're watching. You know, just pay attention to that and notice it. But this is a very good time of the year. I mean, we wanted to really talk. The reason we wanted to pick March as the becoming is because we're becoming spring. And spring is new beginnings. Spring is rebirth. Spring is birth, and it's life starting back up again, where in the winter it sort of calmed down a bit, and then all of a sudden, the trees don't die in this winter time. They just go into a little sleepy mode, and then they burst back out again, and they don't have to be told to do that. The birds don't have to be told to lay eggs. They don't have to be told to have babies. The animals don't have to be told to come out of hibernation and start, like, it just happens. It just cycles. And we tend to be so preoccupied with so many things in our lives that we don't pay attention to what's right in front of us. Like, are you seeing buds on trees yet? I mean, here we are. It's crazy how quickly we've gone into spring already. We have daffodils in our yard, and I love daffodils. I always think of the Willy Wonka movie, the old one, where he picks up the daffodil and he drinks the nectar from it, and then he eats it because it's candy. It was in the candy room. But we have daffodils, and I can't get enough of them. I keep making sure that I see them every single day. They're right there. I'm looking out the window, and they're right there at the driveway, right when you pull in or out in the yard. But we could drive by them all the time and just not even pay attention. Not even pay attention. Let's try not doing that. Actually, let me get rid of let's try. Let's not do that for this month. Let that be the challenge to all of you, that part of your transformation, part of being that butterfly, is seeing things from a different perspective, highs and lows. So pay attention to your world, what's in front of you, even if it stinks. Like, you could be looking up at those flowers, and then at the same time you're going, oh, there's a whole bunch of weeds sitting in between there. I didn't notice that from far away, but now that I'm up close, there's a lot of weeds in there because you paid attention. How many weeds are in our garden, in our life, that we have just neglected? We've refused. We've only looked from afar and noticed the beautiful flowers, but then we got closer and said, oh gosh, I really need to clean this out. It's how we decide to transform our lives.
It's about being present. Like we've talked a show or two ago, it's about being present. Everything has, what's the beauty of life while you're still breathing and your heart is beating, is that if you skip a chapter of gratitude or of being present or being aware of what's around you, and you skipped and you're just sitting there drinking wine in your garden looking at the roses, and then you're like, something doesn't look good, you get to take a couple skips back. You get to get up and walk into your garden and see which weeds are strangling my rose bushes, or which one's assisting it. But you get to do that because you're present and you have that gift to say, oh my goodness, okay, let me check it. Because the awareness doesn't mean that last week's agenda is the door has shut down. Because to walk back, it's just, you can just don't stay there. And when you're gonna walk back, don't just stay in the ugly and what's caused you pain, because then you're living like this. And when you're living like this, you have one foot in yesterday's bullshit and the other one in tomorrow's imaginary agenda, right?
And it doesn't
So
work. Does not work.
You're torn. So then what happens? Your tomorrow becomes your today. And I just wrote a blog. It's going to be up later. Your tomorrow becomes your today. Because tomorrow never comes. Just becomes your today. So you have to just be present And then if you're working on how to rise up, raise the level of your beautiful you, and adapt the happiness, and adapt the acceptance, and adapt the acknowledgement, and then adapt the changes that need to be made. But you're not in a rush, because you know what? Everybody goes at their pace, but you're not rushing to where you're skipping the important parts. Good morning, Dana Negron.
So think about this today, throughout your day. What would you like your life to transform into for the month of March, for this year? What would you like to do differently than maybe you did last year? For some of you, it might just be small
Mm-hmm.
changes. It's just like, hey, I did great job last year, and I just want to top myself this year, or I want to add on to it. And for some of you, it might be that I never really got out of the gate last year. I made some, I wrote some things down. I said I wanted to do this, and I never accomplished it. And we're not going to look back and say, well, that's, forget it. Why even bother? We're just going to move forward and say, you know what? It's time. It's time. Nobody can transform until they're ready to transform. That's the difference between humans and animals, any lower species, because they just live. They move forward, they adapt, they evolve. We, because of our advanced brains, we can do so many incredible things, but because of our advanced brains, we also do some really stupid things. And some of it could be just staying stuck where you are because you're afraid, or you think, why bother? You don't believe in yourself. You have low self-esteem. And that's the whole point, is to say to you, nobody ever looked at any of those caterpillars and said, well, you're going to be a really beautiful butterfly, but you're going to be kind of like a funky looking butterfly and ugly. So don't even bother to come out of that cocoon, because why
Mm-hmm.
bother? It just came out anyway. It just hatched. And sometimes those butterflies don't make it. Sometimes there is something wrong with them. Sometimes their wing is deformed. And if their wing is deformed, they can't, you know, they can't fulfill their destiny because they just can't get around. The difference with us is that that stuff doesn't stop us. How many people have you ever come across that have had some seriously, you know, potentially big handicaps, that we would have looked at and said, oh my gosh, how do they? I couldn't imagine dealing with that on a daily basis, but yet they do, because that's all they know. And they keep moving forward, and they live like all those other animals, to say, well, this is what I've been dealt. So I got to move forward, because I'm sure not going to stay still and do nothing. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
moving forward. So what are you transforming into? What you're sitting in that cocoon, and you are now transforming into that butterfly. Where are you going to go? What flowers are you going to land on? What destinations will you go to? Who will you see? Who will you land on? That is incredible that the butterfly landed on Janet, because that doesn't really happen. That's why it was definitely a sign. Butterflies generally don't, like, even in the butterfly places, when you're in there in an enclosed room, many of them don't land on you. So when they do land on you, it's really wonderful. And a lot of times when one lands on you, a bunch of them land on you. It's almost like they give each other permission. But that
Let
was
me show you. Look, that's Tiffany with the monarch that landed in her hand. We were together when she took this picture. And there's another one. Um, and she loves it because, again, the monarch is our family thing. But yeah, the monarch kept coming. We were out having Bloody Marys outside a place in Florida, which I don't know why in Florida in the summer you choose to be outside drinking anything. But anyhow, and but yeah, the monarch is because we believe in spirituality. We believe that we get signs from the other side, or when you're feeling a certain way, you're missing someone who's passed away. That's when they normally come. Um, or when you're asking for help, they're like the little guidance angels, like it happened for me climbing up those mountains. It was the monarch, then it was a medium-sized blue, and it was a small white. Like, how did they come in those stages and with the colors on it? So I'm thinking, have an open mind, even though you're still stuck in the negative, because if you're in that thinking positive and you're not acting out on it and doing something, then you're in the negative. So, first of all, let's stop with the lying and let's name things for what they are. If you're not doing this and you're like meds and meds, it's okay, but you have to do it, but you're gonna take a break. But you can't be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but I'm tired of this. And again, discernment.
Yes.
You have to let that wash away with the river. The river doesn't repeat itself, it just rolls. That rock is not going to be touched by the same water that just touched it. It's not going to come back around. There's no second chances. So allow the river to take away all the negative feelings that you have that makes you believe you have nothing to be grateful for. Let it go. And then tread lightly, because you have to learn how to trust yourself. But before we even think about trusting ourselves and saying, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it, we start saying, can I trust them? Can I trust this? Is it trustworthy to spend my time here? And you're still giving it away. Trust that you can discern where you need to go, whom you need to speak to, and what the fuck you need to accomplish at this step to get to the next one. So I think if we just do that, then you know what? Let's be that butterfly that pops up like slut magic when you need them. Be that for yourself. Go ahead.
Exactly. We have to, the only way, see, that's the difference. See, the butterfly just becomes the butterfly. It just does it, doesn't think about it. And in some ways, I am almost envious in that sense, is that animals tend to just become. They just become what it is that they're going to become. And then we have the opportunity to become anything that we want to become, but then we don't. We get in our own way. We just stop. We listen to somebody else's BS. I always tell the story of when I was younger, I loved dancing, like at weddings and parties and whatever. And I'm not saying I'm a good dancer. I'm not like that, I just freestyle, whatever. But then when I was in my early 30s and throughout my 30s, I was told I danced stupid. Like I was made fun of. People would make, and my family would make fun of the way I dance. And it got to a point where I became so self-conscious of it. Even if I wasn't thinking about it, I would get up and dance at a wedding and there goes mom again, or there goes, Lori again, blah, 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 doing her dance. And then after a while, I didn't want to do it. We'd go to a party and I would just sit at the table. And then people, are you going to come dance? No. Because I just became so self-conscious, something that brought me so much joy. And because of stupid people who had no right to make, what was the point? And it wasn't just one time, it was every single time that they would make a point of it. And after I transformed myself and decided to become the badass Buddha, I just said, screw you. I don't care what you say. I love and I've watched people. I take great joy in watching people dance. There are some hellaciously bad dancers out there, but when you don't focus on how they're dancing, you focus on their face while they're
and their aura, the joy,
exactly. And
who says that who can dance or not? You just get up.
But that's what I mean. It's like to quote our thought of, they're bad dancers, but when you look at how much fun they're having, they're the best dancer in the world.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it, is that we have to stop saying to ourselves, I can't do this. This is impossible for me. It's just too hard. We have to say, why not? Why not at least give it a try? I'm not a fan of the word try, but but it does have merit sometimes. At least give it a go. See what you can get from that. See what you can learn from that. Maybe it's the greatest thing of all, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's not your cup of tea. What's funny? In this movie, again, it's one of those movies that people just made fun of, and they said, it was one of those lousy movies. But I liked the one with Queen Latifah where she thinks she's going to die, and it's the holiday. I think it's
with LL Cool J. What?
Yeah, with LL Cool J. Yeah. And it's a holiday. It's something holiday.
And
And
they're in Prague. That was a great
I thought so
movie.
too, but there's a lot of people that don't think so. But her
Who gives a
attitude,
shit?
that's what I'm saying. Her attitude is, I don't care. I'm just gonna do it all because but understand something. There's a lot of people that live in a cocoon because she actually said that in the movie. I lived in a cocoon. There's people that'll live in a cocoon their whole lives, find out that they're dying or find out something, their life is not going to be much longer, and they just still stay in that cocoon. They're like, well, why bother? And the point being is, try, give it a go. May not work for you, but it could be the most invigorating thing of your life. And if you want inspiration, watch that movie because it's such a joy. I think it's a joyful movie. I think it's wonderful. Well, it's very heartfelt, but I love it. Good morning, Janet.
I think so too, but I want to go back to something that the badass Buddha said about when she stopped dancing because people criticize her. And we can't be mad at them, honestly. You know how many people told me to use my inside voice? Beginning with my kids. Ma, use your inside voice. What the fuck is an inside voice? Or your laugh sounds scary. Why you laugh so loud in public? Or my partner's being embarrassed at movie theaters because I laughed. And then one day he's like, you need to stop laughing that loud. It's embarrassing. And then some people came in and sat in front of us, an elderly couple, and something else happened in the movie, and I cracked up. I think it was, look at how long ago this was. It was when the Yayas came out. Sandra Bullock played the daughter.
Yeah,
Um, the Yaya sisterhood. It was about
yeah,
New Orleans, these friends. You've ever seen it? Anyway, and I'm cracking up, and he's looking at me, and the elder man looks back, and I said, and now I got to tell somebody else off. And he says, I just love your laugh is so contagious. It's making me happier than this movie. And I was like, thank you. You know, anybody can say anything. It's where are you at? I can't say, oh, I put a plug on how I really am because it bothered my kids or my exes going forward, because we didn't know that. You know, if you allowed people to stump on you, to stump out your happiness, you didn't know better, but now you do. And if somebody says, I've been told I've been too much all my life, I'm too loud, I'm too crazy. When I buzzed my hair off, my son, the first thing was, are you going through a midlife crisis? And then my daughter's like, Ma, you're gonna have to wear big hoops, and you're gonna always have your makeup on because not everybody can rock that. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna wear no makeup. I'm gonna wear no hat. I'm gonna wear hats. I'm gonna do this is something I had to do. So what I'm saying is, if going forward somebody's telling you something, and I'm sorry that happened to you. My older sister Connie, real gold. We've been to singles dances. That girl will get up and dance to a commercial in anybody's house party, in any club. She loves to dance, and she will get up there in the middle of the dance floor and dance a whole song by herself.
yeah.
And I admire that about her. Because not everybody does that. She's, I don't give a shit. I pay to come in here. I'm going to dance every song. And she does. And so, and then you have my other sister, Janet, who's probably on, who won't. She'll wait until there's more people on the floor before she'll get up and dance. But the thing is, they are our worst critic. And they still are. At 34 and 38, they still talk shit. And I'm like, fuck it. So be who you are at all times. And I'm sorry. I really am for those that stopped being who they were because somebody else gave an opinion. But I'm here to tell you, let that go. If you're still holding on to, well, if it wasn't because they said this or made me feel like that, it would have been this. Forgive them, let it go, because you should have never grabbed onto it in the first place. Because people have the right to say what they say, and you are the power to accept it or not. So if it has hindered you, because I've seen people close to me, I'm telling you, my sister, somebody says she was fat, it stood with her all day. Somebody said I'm fat, and I'm like, yeah, it's the good life, because I may be fat to you, I may not be fat to them, but to me, it is what it is, and I'm working on it. But stay true to who you are. because you can't be mad at anybody for voicing out their negativity. You got to be aware of what you're allowing to be absorbed. You know who you are. They don't know who you are. You know who you are. They don't know who you are. You know who you are. Point blank, period. Right?
Yep. Exactly.
Picasso was unappreciated. He
What?
was, because he always did the beautiful woman body, the little
Oh, Picasso.
the little fupa, the little back fat. So yeah.
Well, so we are at the end of the show, and we really appreciate everybody being here today. And just think about this. Take this time this weekend. You know, I don't know what the weather's going to be like where you are, but if it's going to be decent enough, get out there this weekend and go for a walk and observe the beauty that is starting to come about. I would imagine that in the Northeast, you are starting to see some changes. You have to be, because this time of the year, and especially it was unseasonably warm up there. You didn't really get much snow. So you're probably seeing something. Or just go for a walk and listen to the birds. The birds are getting very active. See what's flying around, just be a part of this life, be a part of spring, and ask yourself while you're out there, what am I becoming this month? We are in the middle of the month. We have 2 weeks left. What are you becoming this month? What is it that you want people to see? And again, it's not about them, it is about you, but what do you want people to see you to be? Are you going to be more joyful? Is it, when you nailed it, when you didn't change your hair, you didn't lose any weight, you didn't change your clothes, all you did was change your attitude, and you're happier and more joyful. You change your energy, and people come up to you and go, I don't know what it is. You look different. Did you get your hair cut? No. Did you lose weight? No. Did you do something different with you? Because you're different. Yes, I am.
The
Because
energy emanating.
that's right. That's right.
It is.
It's palpable to people. It's just like negative energy. When somebody walks in, you ever have that person walk in, you're like, oh God, please stay away from me, because they just are exuding that, and even that lady at that table, she seemed okay for most of the, but then as soon as she did that, it was a weird shift for me. It was just like, oh, and again, it could have just been a really bad day for her. But as I have sort of been witness to her and the business, I'm thinking there's a correlation here, that somebody's got to shift so that everything else shifts. But again, I'm only saying this because I've experienced it. I know what it's like to be in that horrible space, and it affects everything around you, including your loved ones and your business, if you have a business.
Yeah. Just be true to you. And I just want to recap on something. I didn't mean to offend anybody who has allowed other people's comments to bring them down. I'm not. What I'm saying is, we didn't know at that time. There were moments where somebody you trusted would say something and it wounds you. And so you marinate over it. But just 24 hours, mi gente. I raised my kids that they can have a pity party for 24 hours, and then you got to get up and get shit done. You got to brush it off, and you got to say whatever. If it's true, then you fix it. If it's their, warped opinion, let it go, brush it off. 24 hours. But try not to allow, I don't care who it is. Our parents could be cruel. Our parents could be in a whole different abyss, and they're looking at us like, ugh, look at her. Because you're trying to break the generational curse, and that's all they've known. So they call you the black sheep. Whatever it is you're doing, do it for you.
Yes.
If you see that the outsides are like trying to poke at you like scorpions, or coming at you, guess what? Dodge. Learn how to dodge while you're inching out. But be who you are. Accept who you are. And if you know that you have some shortcomings because you've procrastinated, then get your ass up and start building up on something you already know is yours, but you've just been too lazy to go after it, or you've allowed other obstacles to put you in a fog. And by obstacles, I mean like everyday life, like your kids, like your job, like whatever. But acknowledge that it's those things, and then your vision won't be so far away. Your goal isn't inching further away from you. You're not saying, I'm a failure, I'm this, I'm that, or it's their fault. Just say, oh my God, let me take care of what's right in front of me so that I can clear the road to where I need to be. But just always remember, you are where you're supposed to be unless you're not. And when you're not, you know it. So don't blame and accuse. Just roll your sleeves up and let's get to work. Because everything you're supposed to accomplish in this life, it's accomplishable regardless of what's going on around you. Focus on you. Everything will fall into place.
Perfect. Perfect way to end the show. So it's Thursday, our lovelies. Have a beautiful weekend and get out there. Get out there, get out there, get out there. From the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And from the Gladiator Guru, mi gente, remember to breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.